Welcome to episode 157 of the Sports Geek podcast. On this week's podcast, we discuss esports, betting, and cryptocurrency with Raul Sood from Unikrn.
Welcome to the Sports Geek podcast, the podcast built for sports digital and sports business professionals.
And now, here's your host who gets more work done on planes, Sean Callanan.
Thanks, DJ Joel. Yes, I do get more work done on planes. I think it is because there is no Wi-Fi and it's sort of the distractions go out. What do you think? Is Wi-Fi on planes a distraction? Do you end up not doing the work? I actually don't mind it. But when you've got 14 hours in front of you, it is easy to get a lot of work done. My name is Sean Callanan and you are listening to the Sports Geek podcast. You might be doing so on our website, sportsgeekhq.com, if you are looking for help or assistance in your digital marketing, fan engagement and campaigns. Please check us out at sportsgeekhq.com. You can always contact me, Sean, at sportsgeekhq.com or via all the social channels, at Sean Callanan on most channels, and also on Sports Biz Slack, which you can join by going to sportsgeekhq.com/Slack. And I have Sports Biz Slack and a friend from there to thank for today's podcast. Thanks to Francis McCarthy. This is actually the second podcast that Francis has teed up for me. He teed up one back in the Beers Blokes business days as well. He is working at a company called Unikrn, and it's a sports betting platform for esports, which is a very unique play in the space. Also have an esports team, and they're also going about launching their own cryptocurrency. So it's a mashup of all these really hot and hyped industries of esports and cryptocurrency. So Francis was kind enough to organise an interview with Raul, the CEO of Unikrn, and we get to discuss all of these topics, which are becoming more and more of interest to me and more relevant to the world of sports biz. So I hope you enjoy my conversation with Raul Sood from Unikrn. Very happy to connect with my next guest, the co-founder and CEO of Unikrn, Raul Sood. Welcome to the Sports Geek podcast.
Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm really thankful that a long-time listener and a good mate of mine, Francis, teed up this interview because we've had a few discussions in the esports space, talking to people like Tom Halls and recently Nigel Smart around their esports team acquisition. And you're in a really unique. Unikrn is in a really unique space in the esports space. Do you want to explain what Unikrn is and where it fits in esports?
Yeah, absolutely. So Unikrn is a company that we started about 3 years ago, and we're the planet's best bookmaker for esports. I mean, we sit at the intersection of video games and gambling. That's essentially who we are. What makes us different from other bookmakers is that we're not just a book full of sports and you pull a drop down and pick one. We are truly an esports bookmaker from the ground up. Everything from our team to the offering, we create content, news. We analyze data and create the most compelling odds and insights and betting and customer facing betting products out there. So we're very much a part of the esports community. We also are team owners. We've got we have the best CSGO team in Germany that we have a fairly decent stake in. And we also own a company called Leet that we recently acquired that sets up casinos with esports experiences. So we're pretty much, Unikrn is esports.
So, I mean, from a US perspective, gambling on sport is still a developing area. We're seeing how the professional sports are trying to figure out how to get into the gambling space. How does it work in esports and because esports is a global phenomenon. So where do you fit in there from a US point of view and then a global point of view?
Unikrn is first. Let's start with global. I'd like to do that, and we can sort of work our way back. I want to be clear. I mean, even though we have an office in Seattle, it's quite small comparative to we have a big studio in Berlin. My CTO lives in Berlin, and we have a development team there. We also have content, and we do a lot of marketing and sales and things like that in Berlin. And then we have an office in Sydney as well. We work both with Tab Corp, and then we have a small team in Sydney. And then we have a small office in Las Vegas. So we are a global company. Even though we're small, our team is widely distributed, and we work online. So that should kind of give you an idea of like how we're distributed. In terms of company itself, we offer real regulated betting, real money regulated betting in the UK and Australia in particular. We're licensed in those areas, and we have been working on our book and getting it to a point where we're comfortable with it, where we're ready to unveil live betting on all of the major esport matches around the world. And then once we're ready to do that, we're going to scale even further than that. We have licenses coming that will allow us to run across Europe. And we also have a skill-based betting platform that we can launch in other markets, including the US. In terms of how we operate around the world right now, we, about 2 years ago, created something called the Unikrn, which is a free token that people earn on our platform, and they can use that to bet with. They can use it. They can earn it by playing games, connecting it to our platform, and then they can win raffles and prizes and things like that with the Unikrn. We do offer experiences for anyone around the world.
And so in the Unikrn space, it's very much like playing fantasy and putting your bets on particular teams, and you grow your Unikrn balance. So it effectively gives fans that they can invest in the teams that they're following or who they think is going to win, but it's not gambling because you're just playing with these tokens.
Right, but it's not fantasy either because fantasy is not even, to me, it's not fun. It's real betting, right? So it's like odds betting.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I guess the next extension, which makes Unikrn really unique, is that you're moving into the cryptocurrency and taking Unikrn and floating that as a cryptocurrency. What's that process been like?
Yeah, that's been an amazing process, actually. So, about 2 years ago, Mark Cuban, who's one of our investors, really wanted us to look at blockchain technology for the business because he thought it would be the future of the company, and he was absolutely right. Right now, Unikrns are free, right, and people earn them. But one of the biggest requests we've had from the community is how can we get more value out of the Unikrns? And at the same time, with Unikrn having to expand around the world, one of our biggest challenges is with international banking. Banking is tough. It's very archaic. It's slow. It's hard to deal with multiple currencies. It's kind of a nightmare. So we love the idea of building a cryptocurrency. And so Unikrn is going to take the Unikrn and turn it into a crypto. We are effectively going to produce a finite number of tokens. We're going to sell those tokens on the open market, and many of our users are going to buy those tokens, and they can use those tokens on our platform to bet with. They can use it for raffles. They can use it in exclusive raffle rooms. This token has a ton of utility on our platform, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah.
And it's a little bit different. I mean, at the moment, there's so much buzz around crypto and Bitcoin and the prices that they're going for. Whereas yours is a little bit different because it's actually got a platform and it's got use. Whereas there's so many of these cryptocurrencies just being spawned off and hey, we've got a new cryptocurrency, get on board. This is where it could go, and it's you're not really saying it's an investment. It's a currency that you're going to use in your platform to enable those global transactions.
No, exactly. I think that's one of the reasons. I don't know if you read about it, but the SEC yesterday came out with a position on token sales and ICOs because, quite honestly, a number of them are basically securities, and they're selling securities and they need to register with the SEC and be regulated if they're going to do that. Unikrn is not doing that. I mean, we have buyers of tokens, and these tokens have real world value on our platform, and people can use those tokens on our platform. This isn't an investment as a traditional investment would be. And that's what makes us unique. I think that our business has a very natural fit for a cryptocurrency, and I think that's why this token sale is so popular. We've been hit up from all over the world about people who want to participate in the token sale, and it's also increased our turnover quite a bit as well. We have a lot of new bettors coming on board, and a ton of new Unikrn bettors as well. So it's been just an unbelievable couple months.
And so, as someone who's embedded in the esports space and has been, what's been your take on? You've obviously got Mark Cuban, who is a sports team owner, but you're seeing more and more of the professional sports teams turning their attention to esports and trying to figure out how they can either get a foothold, acquire teams, participate in the space. How have you seen the migration of more professional sports teams coming into esports? Do you think it's something that will help lift esports and may potentially bring it more mainstream?
Yeah, man, I think it's not only going to lift esports, but it's going to lift traditional sports as well. What Mark Cuban was pivotal in helping to push the NBA to do a league. The NBA is doing their own esports league. Next year, there's going to be a full combine, and you're going to have 14 teams and probably more that are setting up their own esports team. So there'll be the E-Celtics and the E-Mavericks, and
yep.
And these guys are going to play against each other. And Unikrn has a ton of plans around how to really build excitement around the NBA league. Esports are definitely becoming more and more mainstream. And in fact, if you look at the median age for traditional sports, some of these sports, it's funny. I mean, the PGA Tour is 69 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And the Major League Baseball is 54 years old. I think the youngest is probably basketball. But if you look at every day a PGA Tour fan and a Major League Baseball fan dies, and 4 esports fans are born. So esports is growing. It's the fastest growing sport in the world. And it really is an experience just to watch or go to an event and see what's happening.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that I think a lot of the people in the sports scene are figuring out is the events that esports can hold, and the fervor that the tickets are bought to attend the events is definitely counter to what's happening in the professional sports scene, where filling a stadium is a challenge at times. I think that's very appealing, but then the massive online fan base that is available in the esports space, is terribly appealing from just a audience extension and growth to sort of reach. And it'll be interesting to see what more sports teams do, whether they extend their brand into it or vice versa and bring their esports brand closer to the professional. The thing that I found sort of talking to the NBA guys around the NBA 2K League is what a lot of people don't know is that they're not going to be playing one-on-one as LeBron James and Kevin Durant. The players are going to be playing 5-on-5 as themselves, building themselves up. And so it will effectively provide this alternate NBA for people to be watching to go, so-and-so is the LeBron James of NBA 2K. And so I think that's the tough bit for most traditional sports fans to try to figure out that it's a completely different thing. So I think that's been a smart move by the NBA. I mean, the NBA 2K as a game is tiny on the esports landscape, but then it obviously gets some infrastructure for the teams, and then they can do what a lot of the teams do and say, oh, we're also going to have a Raptors League of Legends team, or we're also going to have a Raptors Counter-Strike team, or those kind of things where they can start understanding the space, but at least doing it with a product that they're pretty familiar with in basketball.
Agree. I think that's absolutely right. I think the fact that they're letting the players kind of have their own avatars in the game is really cool. So, they'll have their own fan bases. They're going to have, merchandise and things like that. Yeah, man, this is a whole new world we live in. And next year it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. But, one of the things that we did was I mentioned to you, we acquired Leeds, this company based out of Las Vegas that sets up esports experiences inside casinos. If you go to Las Vegas, in Vegas, the traffic is highest it's ever been, but the betting is sort of down, and young people just don't like to bet. They like to go straight to the nightclub.
Yep.
And we are setting up these really cool lounges, in different places, and you'll be able to walk into a Unikrn esports lounge and watch and bet and participate in various esport events. And we're really excited about what the NBA is doing, because we're gonna do a lot of things around that as well.
I also wanted to talk to you a little bit about the partnership with Tabcorp, which is one of the largest betting operators in Australia. We very much come from a gambling culture here in Australia. I think that if there's two flies going up a wall, Australia would start betting on it. It's just sort of part of our part of the culture. We have a national holiday for the Melbourne Cup, which is effectively the Kentucky Derby, just to see horses run around. It sort of gives you an idea of how much Australians love to gamble. How did that partnership come about, and what was their take on esports?
It's funny. When we first started Unikrn, the first thing we wanted to do was deal with the regulatory part. We didn't want to mess around, and we really, we had intentions of building a very legitimate, highly regulated business. So one of the things that we did at Microsoft Ventures was we would help startups get connected with large companies to help them scale and address issues like this. And so we took that model with Unikrn, and we approached the largest, betting company we could find, and that's Tabcorp. They're the largest in Australia. They're very good at what they do. They align with us on responsible gaming and dealing with regulatory issues and things like that. So we just approached them and said, hey guys, you love to bet on two flies, crawling up a wall. What do you think of video games? And they were dumbfounded with what we had. Like, we showed them our tech and our vision, and they loved us. And so they immediately invested in us, and then they followed on to our Series A as well. And then so Tab is not only an investor, but they've been an important partner for us in helping us kind of navigate the future and things like that. And then along with that, we had Mark Cuban and Ashton Kutcher come in, and we have a number of others also that joined in, like Elizabeth Murdoch and Sherry Redstone and people like that. So we've been fortunate with investors for sure.
And I mean, you've mentioned it a couple of times that you are taking the harder path of going into two places, both in the gambling space with all the regulations, and also now with the SEC and the cryptocurrency and ticking all of those boxes. Why is it important for you to follow all those rules and have that regulation? Like, what's the esports space and the gamer market like around people gambling? The issues around kids potentially gambling skins and those kind of things. What's the space like from a esports point of view?
Well, in terms of the betting space, well, look, it's no different than any other sport. Kids play baseball, they play basketball, they play football, they play rugby, but they don't gamble, and we don't let them gamble. Yep. What's interesting about esports is it does skew younger, but it's like 18 to 34-year-old males. There's a female fan base as well, and it's kind of growing. And what makes it different is yes, the age group skews younger, but not kids younger. Yep. But what makes it different is this younger group likes to bet on esports, whereas they don't like to bet on horse racing. Yep. They don't like to bet on slot machines. They love esports because it's something that they know. And what's even crazier is the frequency at which they bet. So if they like the platform, which they love our platform, and we're doing things with live betting and things like that, there's a lot more areas where betting markets that we can create where they can bet on microtransactions a lot quicker. And they do tend to do multiple things at once. So, while most people think that, betting is going mobile, For these people, I mean, they love to do it on their desktop because they like to play games. They like to watch Twitch. They like to do all of that while betting. So it's a different group.
And so, how do you work with either the tournaments or the game publishers and stuff? We've seen the same sort of issues, integrity around professional sports. How do you manage those kind of risks as in running your book, in making sure that everything's above board and I guess it can attract an unwanted element. How do you sort of tackle that integrity issue? Because it's something that, especially in professional sports here, it's something that the cricket is very much hot on. With the large betting pools that happen in India. How do you sort of manage that? Is it part algorithm and AI sort of keeping an eye on the transaction, and then part sort of working with the partners?
Yeah, it is very much a part working with partners. When Unikrn first started, we set up the world's first competitive integrity program.
Yep.
And that program morphed into what's called the ESIC, which is the Esports Integrity Coalition, and it's actually run by an ex-cricket commissioner, Ian Smith. So he knows all about match fixing and things like that, and he's been great. And I'll tell you that there's a number of partners involved in it. It's really all about everything from integrity to regulation, working with regulators and just educating them, working with publishers, and essentially building an ecosystem where betting on esports is kind of a friendly thing, and we want to explain what it is and get them educated so that they're not so scared about it, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And it's been great for us. We've established a lot of inroads, and we continue to work with regulators. Everyone's excited about it. No one has really thumbed their noses at it. I mean, there's probably like the odd few dinosaurs out there who have, but dinosaurs won't be around long.
Yeah. But you've just got to set up that infrastructure from the get go, and you can at least take the lessons that the Tabcorps of the world know has run in different sports to say we need to have these checks and balances in, otherwise we're gonna hit a problem down the track.
Yeah, exactly. I think it is important to get in front of it now than worry about it later. Yep.
And so, from just sort of touching base and sort of wrapping up on the crypto stuff and the Unikrn Gold, it's going to have a couple of different levels. So currently, you've got Unicoins, and now you're going to transition that to Unikrn Gold, which is going to be the crypto, and Unikrn Silver. Do you want to explain the difference between those?
Yeah, for sure. So right now, the Unicoins will be retired. Right,
Yep.
The current Unicoin. Unikrn Gold is a cryptocurrency that people buy. And they can use it on our platform to bet with. They can, and as they bet with it, people earn silver. So
Yep.
The more turnover you do with gold, the more silver you earn.
Yep.
So silver can be used to go into raffles and buy silver raffle tickets. Gold can be used to buy raffle tickets as well, but gold raffle tickets, and the gold raffle tickets are worth more than the silver raffle tickets.
Yep.
And then there's prizes to be won. So there's prizes from big brands that can be won either way. You can also use silver to participate in various kind of esport activities like ladders and things like that. Inside of casinos, we'll have silver because when we first start in casinos, it's going to be an unregulated type environment. So we're not going to introduce real money betting right away. So we'll have silver. And we'll have tournaments for silver, and then the winner of the tournaments might win a big prize.
Yep.
And so that's how it works. And we have a lot more information on our white paper. I would encourage anyone who's interested in participating in this token sale to read about it at unicoingold.com. That's UNIKOIN.
Yep.
Gold.com, and then there's a section at the top called white paper. And they should read about it. The thing that makes it very cool is the tokens, the cryptocurrency gold, can be taken offline onto your own wallet, and then you can trade it on any major cryptocurrency exchange if you want to.
Okay, so effectively, how much do you think your community will take up the token sale as I'm going to be on the community? This is what I want to do. I want to support the community, and I'm going to transact on this on your platforms. And then how much do you think that the hype of what the price of Bitcoin and Ether and those kind of things, and people sort of playing that high risk, high reward. I think this token will go gangbusters. How much do you think it'll be that investor types as opposed to your community?
Oh, I think the majority over time will be our community. There's obviously those who speculate at the beginning, but we found that what's interesting about our space is there's a ton of crossover.
Yep.
We interviewed, before we did this, we wanted to make sure that our community would be participating. So we interviewed a section of our community and found that many of them actually had crypto wallets.
Yep.
So there's more crossover in our business than there is in, say, some other crypto business out there that's really full of speculators. So I think that's an exciting part, because the more people participating on the platform, the more turnover is, and that makes it better. So. Yep.
So I will share those links to Unikrn Gold and the white paper. So if anyone wants to check it out, I guess the other thing that I wanted to discuss with you is how Unikrn are communicating with the gamer market more and more. You traditionally had a Slack community, but now you're moving all of that communication over to Discord, and Discord is just becoming the channel of choice for gamers now.
Yeah, well, look, we were planning on opening up a Discord after the token sale ended. We thought we would use Slack at the beginning because it seemed that there was a lot of people in the crypto community that were on Slack. But it didn't make sense, because we found that a lot of our community was coming on Slack, and they're not comfortable with it. So we said, let's just move it to Discord. Discord's actually better because it's better for a distributed community versus an organization.
Yep.
So what Discord does differently than Slack is Discord takes the monetization and distributes it to the community. So people want premium features, they buy it themselves.
Yep.
But there's no limit on messages. The moderation is really easy to do. I mean, for communities, I think Discord's the best thing going right now.
Yeah, I mean, it is something, and again, it's a platform that if you're not in the gamer space, then you've never heard of, but they've come out of effectively nowhere to grow to be the comms channel of choice for the gaming community. Yeah,
exactly right.
And so the thing is will it then do that side shift and potentially be a comms tool for communities and be a competitor to Slack in that space? So it's really interesting to watch that, just to see where that develops.
Yes, I completely agree with you. And I met the CEO a couple of years ago at a dinner. At a VC dinner in Silicon Valley, and he was a very unassuming person, just a kid really, and they were just kind of building. And at the time, they just wanted to compete against Slack and Curse and voice over IP type systems. But they do a lot more. They build they build community with it, and they build a foundation that allows communities to build on top of it. So that's why we switched over.
Yeah, terrific. Well, other than checking out the Unikrn site, and obviously if they want to check out the cryptocurrency, where can people find you on the internet if they wanted to send you a tweet or connect with you?
Yeah, best place to get a hold of me is actually on Twitter. I'm at Rahul Sood. It's at RAHULSOOD.com. Sorry, what did I say? .com. It's just at Rahul Sood.
It is.
My website is rahulsood.com. But yeah, they can reach me on my Twitter.
And I think one of the things that's really key, and potentially something that's might be even I don't want to say a savior, it's just probably too extreme, is that the esports community is so in on Twitter, and it's so engaged in that space. And some of the deals that Twitter's doing from a broadcast point of view in the esports space might be something that it really pivots and leans into.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, our esports community is very embedded on Twitter. They use Facebook a little bit, but not really. It's mostly Twitter, Discord, and Reddit.
Yeah,
that's where they all are. So yeah.
So I normally finish off with some sports-related questions. If you want to have an esports-related slant to these, I'm happy to. Do you remember
Sure.
Do you remember the first sports event? And again, I'm going to say, or esports event you ever attended?
Well, I think the first esports event I ever attended was many years ago in a community center somewhere in Edmonton, Alberta. But yeah, I remember it. It was just very small because it's kind of before esports became a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, and is there the sports stadiums these days are pitching the fan experience and doing a lot of it around food. Is there a favorite food that you consume when you're at a sports event? Is there an
Yes,
esports
yes.
is there an esports food is the go-to food?
Well, there is a sports food that I consume that I would gladly consume if it was at an esports event. It's chicken and waffles.
Oh, yes.
You find it at the Seahawks Stadium, and it's great. So it's my favorite food.
I have heard that recommended at the Seahawks Stadium. So what's the first app you open in the morning?
Oh, Twitter.
Twitter?
Yep.
And from a recommendation point of view, from an esports point, is there someone that you particularly go to, or you would suggest that the podcast listeners should follow and see what they're doing, whether it be someone on Twitter or an author or someone that's producing good content?
I'm not being biased when I say this. I think they should follow Unikrn, UNIKRNCO, Unikrn Co.
Yep.
Because we always put up the latest content. We do interviews. We find the latest content. We basically aggregate all of it and just tweet it out. But I think that's who I follow if you want to get the latest and greatest esports news.
Cool. And I think we probably answered this, but is there a Kevin Durant style? Is there a social media platform that is your MVP?
A social media platform that's my MVP. Man. Are you asking about the platform itself? Or?
Which platform is, if you're going to say this platform is my MVP, which one's yours? It tries to get people to pick one.
It's a tough one, man. I guess Twitch for me. It's not really a social media platform, but it kind of is.
It sort of is. It sort of is now.
It sort of is. I have Twitch on my system all the time.
Yep.
Because I like to watch the latest thing. I like to watch streamers, sort of like watching your favorite, NBA player play basketball in his driveway. That's what I'm doing all day long, is watching streamers stream, and then I watch events. So, I mean, if you consider it a platform, I'd say Twitch. If not, I'd say Facebook.
Yeah. I would consider it, and I think that the analogy that you just gave there of watching your favourite NBA player play in this driveway is the best description I've ever heard of anyone give of Twitch.
Exactly.
Because, people just, yes, the tournament side, yes, if you're watching tournaments, it makes sense. It's just like I'm tuning into ESPN. But the fact that the volume of viewership on Twitch is, just watching, your LeBron James or your Cristiano Ronaldo practice and get better at their craft.
Exactly. Yep, exactly right.
Well, thank you very much, Raul, for giving everyone a little bit more insight into the esports space and the crypto space. You're in a very exciting business, sort of mashing up those two really hot topics, and all the best for the launch of Unikrn Gold.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be on, and can't wait to hear it. Hear your future podcast going forward. But Francis has said nothing but great things. He loves your podcast, so he's gonna love this.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Sign up for Sports Geek News at sportsgeekhq.com/sign up now.
Thanks again to Raul. Don't forget you can send him a tweet. As I've said, I think on a couple of times, Twitter is super active in the esports space. It was the same in the conversation with Nigel Smart on episode 153. If you're just listening to this, coming to it from esports, and I suggest go back to episode 153 with Nigel Smart, where we talk about the Adelaide Crows acquisition of Legacy as an esports and their foray into the esports space. And that's really my question for the podcast. Are you paying attention to esports? Because you should be. As we discussed there, the foray the NBA is making in NBA 2K, and the fact that a lot of teams are acquiring esports franchises, both in their sport and in different games, such as League of Legends and the like. You definitely should be paying attention. It's something I'm paying attention to. As I've stated on the podcast, I see myself as a future esports franchise owner. So if you're looking to get into the esports space, do you want more help? You're interested in buying a team, you would like to help me buy a team, please get in touch. Send me an email, Sean@sportsgeekhq.com. I really do believe the professional sports industry has a big has a big upside if it enters into esports in the way that it can monetize fan bases. So that's why I'm bullish on the space. That's why I'm interested, and I'm going to continue to dive in more and learn more about it. But yeah, check out Unikrn. Check out their Unikrn Gold, and check out their token sale that they're going for. I've registered to check it out. I've also bought some cryptocurrency since my conversation, just to play around and see how the space goes. So checking it every day, seeing it going up and down, and trying to understand a little bit more. Like recently, Bitcoin, after this interview, Bitcoin has since forked, creating Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin, and it's created a lot of controversy, but also a lot of volatility in the market. So it'll be interesting to see how Unikrn's foray to crypto goes. I think Rail makes a really good point around there is actually something for the currency they're building, and it's not just a currency for currency's sake. So yeah, that's my foray into esports and cryptocurrency for now. So I hope you enjoyed that conversation. If you are working in sports and you're looking for driving more revenue from your digital, and you're struggling a little bit trying to figure out what your rate card could be, if you're having that push-pull tussle with sponsorship on how to sell the campaign, or you're having to deliver really bad campaigns, which I hate. I hate bad campaigns. And I hate seeing digital teams having to push them out. That's why we started Sports Geek Campaigns. It's a partnership that I'm doing with the guys at Tradable Bits to help teams not produce campaigns that suck. The process is pretty simple. I walk through your digital and social assets to help you build out a rate card to get some numbers behind whatever valuation that we come up with for what you're doing from a content point of view, your branded content, but then also how you get that branded content to support your campaigns. Once we have that framework down, we develop campaigns, and we give what I've found with sponsorship teams, and what we're finding in rolling out Sports Geek Campaigns is sponsorship teams can sell when they're given something to sell. If you wrap everything in a nice box that says this is what it is, this is what it's worth, this is what you'll get, this is what it delivers, it's easy for them to sell. And so what I'm looking to do with Sports Geek Campaigns is give your sponsorship team more boxes to sell. And they go out and sell them, and then we do the rest. We do the execution, we do the ads around it, we do the reporting for you. So it's not a drain on your resources if your sponsorship team starts being successful. So please get in touch. Either go to sportsgeekcampaigns.com and just fill out the form and book in a time for a call. Happy to have a conversation. No obligation to discuss how it works, and how we can really focus on making more money from digital, and making sure that the digital and the sponsorship guys that are selling digital are rock stars in the organisation. That's the only goal that I have with Sports Geek Campaigns, because I'm that confident that these campaigns will absolutely kill. Until next week, you have been listening to the Sports Geek podcast. My name is Sean Callanan, and until then, cheers.
Join over 1,000 sports business executives in Sports Biz Slack. Go to sportsgeekhq.com/Slack.
Please leave a review on iTunes. Go to sportsgeekhq.com/iTunes.
Find out how to drive between $8,000 and $30,000 in profit for each digital campaign you sell sponsors. Check out sportsgeekcampaigns.com. Just like Jimmy Butler, you can call Sean anytime at 614-407-0407-200.